have such sights to show you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Four Dead Losers podcast. We're the Four Dead Losers. I'm Ramito.
Adam. Justin.
And we have a special guest with us today. Joining us behind the camera, we have Jordan. Say hi, everybody.
Hello. You can't see me, but
You can do like a little
Yes.
cheering sound effect. Or like when like the guest walks in, like from the sitcoms, everyone's like, woo!
So today, we're going to be talking about Killer Klowns from Outer Space. How exciting. Justin, this was your pick. Non-spoiler thoughts. What'd you think?
Like, I still don't know if it's really bad or really good. Like, I personally really love the movie, but I mean, like, it's pretty bad. But I never looked up why, like, it is the way it is, so I don't know. I was discussing beforehand if that was, like, their intent for it to be just so comically, like, cheesy in effects and everything like that, or they were actually trying to go for something serious, and it ended up just kind of, like, aging in that sense. But regardless, I mean, it's a cult classic for a reason, right? I really enjoyed it. So
Rating out of 10?
ooh, that's hard. Again, I personally really love the movie, but if I had to be objective about it, it'd probably be like a below average movie. Again, though, I really like it. I mean, I really like it. It depends on what, you know what? I take that back. I guess it depends on what you're going for. If you're really going in for like something to laugh at and like have like a good time with, like it's like a 10 out of 10, right? If you're watching it to be scared, like 1 out of 10.
Yeah. That's fair. We'll get into it later, but there was one part where I was like, dang, that's kind of scary.
Honestly, there were some scenes that were kind of like, they're a little eerie and creepy. You're kind of like, ooh, like, yeah. But.
Yeah. Non-spoiler thoughts? Adam, what'd you think?
I really like the movie. Again, I like some of these older movies that really like gain traction, especially like from the video stores and stuff. So this was like a very late 80s movie, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was like 1988, 1989, something like that. So like, this is really big around the time, like all the video stores were like at their peaks, right? And so it's just one of those ones that was like always there, and it like was a staple for a reason, because it was a good horror movie, but it was also like comedy. Like that's, I think, what they're going for, is a comedy horror kind of mashup. And so I really enjoyed it. It just had a lot of cool iconic moments, and it's just a fun movie. So I'd probably give it I would say probably like an 8 out of 10. I would maybe grade it a little bit higher if it would not be for like some parts in the middle I always just kind of blank on because I lose focus, because like I think I like the beginning and I like the end, and there's a lot of stuff in the middle that's kind of okay, but then there's like parts where like, not that it drags on, but like they're just not very memorable. It's not very memorable. It's not very memorable, but there's a lot of good stuff in that movie, so I would say 8 out of 10.
8 out of 10?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Jordan, non-spoiler thoughts, what'd you think?
I agree that it feels like an old movie. Obviously, we're not in that same context, and this is my first time seeing it, whereas I'm sure y'all have seen it like over a handful of times.
I think this is like number 5 for me or
Yeah,
something.
same.
I do agree. A lot of the middle feels, I don't know, it felt kind of, I don't want to say pointless, but like I was a little confused.
Like filler?
Yeah. Like 20 minutes into it, I had to search to make sure it was supposed to be a comedy. There were some parts I really liked. A lot of it was kind of just fell flat to me personally. But I told Amanda I'd say 3 out of 10, but I think I'll go 4 out of 10.
4 out of 10?
Yeah. Maybe I'll change my mind.
He really needs 3. I don't know how he can change his opinion. I don't know what intellectual depth we can go into.
3.5 out of 10.
3.5 out of 10. That's funny. Non-spoiler thoughts for myself. I enjoy the movie. This feels like one of those ones that like you watch it like once or twice, and it's like, oh, okay, cool. And then after that, it just kind of gets a little older as things go on. Which I mean, like, of course, it's gonna get older, right? It's from the freaking 80s, but it just kind of like loses its touch. Yeah, loses its charm. So there were parts that I think were like, I can tell what they were going for, and I agree with Adam that I'm pretty sure it was a comedy first, like you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
If it was made now, like a lot of things would be different.
Mm-hmm.
Like there'd be a lot of different directions that they'd be able to take that they probably didn't have like the effects for, the tech for back in the 80s. overall, it's not bad. I feel like it's one of those movies that like you should probably see at least once just to like, you know, get a feel for it and stuff like that. But yeah, so a rating out of 10, honestly, I'd probably give this like a 5, right? Like it holds your attention for like a good amount of time. And then just like y'all are saying, there are parts where it kind of loses, it gets a little dull, but I do like the ending.
Yeah, it picks up at the end.
But yeah. So this is your spoiler warning. We're going to get into the spoiler section of the video. If you haven't seen the movie, you can go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, so that way you can save this video and come back to it later. Or if you just want to be spoiled, that's fine too. But we're going to go ahead and get to the spoiler section of the video. So this is your warning in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So right off the bat, the thing that I do like about this movie is that it gets the opening credits out of the way. Like, just the first thing, right? There's no like build up, no whatever. Like it's just boom, opening credits and they're done.
Not that long either. You're like a couple minutes.
Yeah, and they have like an opening song that's about killer clowns from outer space.
Now the question is, which one's better? Was it Clown Cafe or the Killer Klowns?
Well, this one, like, supposedly, like, so the group that did it was called the Dickies, and like they're actually a pretty like fairly known punk popular band back in the 70s, 80s, and so like supposedly like they still have this on their set list. Like that's like a consistent thing. I thought that was pretty cool. I mean, it's pretty cool because people know it, right? Like it's a popular song, and like it is. I think that song sets the tone for the movie, right? Like it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be like they're just like pretty like wacky. Yeah, like so. I like the music for this movie.
Yeah. So as the song's playing, we get like different shots of the town that we're in, right? They're kind of like setting the scene for what's going on, and I think it's like it's like a college town, right? Or it's like it's adjacent.
It is kind of like a college town-ish, but they don't like ever show the college. It's only brought up like once.
They talk about like what is it? The cop who we'll meet later on, Officer Mooney. He gets like annoyed with all the college students, right? What do you say? Y'all come in here and y'all drink and y'all leave and all these other things. Like, okay, we get it, boomer. Like, it's fine. But yeah, so there's so just like I'm saying, we get a bunch of shots of like the different town, all these other things. We get like some nerd who's buying a bunch of booze for people.
I was gonna point out. I want to mention this because this is something that it's really not. People just like point it out, and then like people start like going with it, but it's not really a thing. But people keep on saying that the opening guy that you're talking about, the one that crosses Mooney, which is like the really like over the top, like just over it cop, like just trying to get to retirement, but also like doing his own thing of justice, like whatever. But they say that guy was basically like Jeffrey Dahmer, like because he had the glasses and the set. Bro, look it up. It's a thing. Look it up. It's a thing. And he like crosses the street or whatever, and it's just kind of like he didn't get caught till 1991 and all this stuff. It's like it wasn't obviously because nobody knew about that, but people look it up. It is a thing. Look up Jeffrey Dahmer Killer Klowns, and I'm not even joking. Oh yeah, Moody's like, what does he say? He's like, oh, it's like freaking like kids or idiots or whatever, and then that guy's like, cops. Like it just walks out.
It just walks off. And then we get a shot of like your typical, old school movie where they have make out point or whatever.
Top of the world.
Top of the world is what they call it in this movie.
And the radio station knows about it, right? The radio station is talking about it.
And there's like 7 or 8 cars all lined up.
That's like awkward.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, I want to say that was like a thing in horror or just in movie shows in general for a long time because I was like even
like Grease and stuff like
50s 60s things too, right? Like, oh, we got to go to the hill or the mountain or make out point or something like that.
Wasn't that like a one like person thing though? Wouldn't like nobody else be there?
I think that's the joke.
Yeah, I guess, right? Yeah.
Well, no, I think in older media I've seen like where there's a few different cars that like are there.
It's like a thing.
It's like a hangout. It's like a teenager hangout, right? High school, whatever. You have your own car. You can drive over there. Nobody's gonna mess with you. Even though Mooney, like that's like the first place he goes. And supposedly he's like nobody was there. It's like what are you talking about?
So we get introduced to like I think this is where we meet Dave and Deb, right, for a little bit, maybe.
Yes.
And then an ice cream truck shows up.
Yeah, the Terenzi brothers.
The Terenzi brothers. And so this will come up later, but the ice cream truck, it's just a big old white ice cream truck. Yeah. But on the top of it, there's a clown head.
Yeah.
And so that comes up later. And the Terenzi brothers, Paul and Rich are their names, are their first names. They're just trying to get like, their ice cream out there. What does one of them say? I don't know which is which because they look the same.
Yeah.
And whenever they talk, whenever they mention their names, they're always Paul and Rich or Rich and Paul, but they never say like
Which one's which? Yeah.
Yeah. But they just they have like a little bit of banter, right? Like, oh, why did you said we can make money off of this, XYZ.
Get girls, right?
Get girls.
There's all girls in the back, right? There's like girls already in the back.
I hated that dialogue. The girls in the back were bad.
Yeah. So what Jordan's referring to is that so they park and these two girls come from the back of the truck and they're like, hey, why did you stop? You didn't say anything about stopping. And he's like, shh, no, it'll be fine. And they're like, you said we could have ice cream or whatever the heck, and they leave. It's just like, okay, what the was the point of that?
Yeah, I guess they were trying to,
they're trying to show that like that Rich and Paul are like not to be taken seriously.
Yeah,
and girl obsessed.
And they're girl obsessed. Yeah, they're girl obsessed.
Yeah. Typical young adults. And so then Mike and Debbie, they go back to making out, whatever. And then all of a sudden there's like a comet or a UFO, right, that flies over them and everybody's like, what the heck is that? And it's super bright. They're all covered in orange from the light. And then it like lands somewhere in the woods.
Over yonder.
And we get a picture, or we get a scene then of a farmer. I didn't get his name.
I don't know. Old man. Old man one.
This was, so I would say there's two actors in this that like I think really like set the tone for like funny, but also like made it good because they had they almost took their role seriously to a T of like how they were selling it. So he had the most like absurd banter, like just how way he was saying things.
The farmer?
Yeah, the farmer. Like I just want to pull up and remember some of his dialogue, but it's just so funny listening to him because nobody speaks that way at all. Like, he was just throwing out the wildest dialogue ever. And then he had his dog, right? He's like, "Oh, it's an oil field."
And his dog name is Pooh.
The dog name is Pooh, but no, it was like he didn't say it was oil. He was like, "Oh, it's Haley's Comet." He was reading the book, right? Like, we're gonna be rich. There's gonna be paparazzi and hot dogs and all this stuff. It's like he just threw out like all this ridiculous stuff, and like he just shows up like to like I guess make bank on this. He just takes a shovel and a bucket on it and like, "We're gonna be rich. Come on, Pooh," and like go follow it.
They go to the landing site of the comet, right? And it's in their backyard or their backyard. It's just a giant forest. And so and then we get shots back of Debbie and Mike, and Debbie's like, "Oh, I want to go check it out." "No, I don't want to." "Okay, but it'll be cool."
Well, she was like, "No, let's go see it because it was close." And he's like, "No, it's like 1,000 miles away." And she's like, "No, it's like right there. It's just over the hill." Which I'm like, middle of the forest. I guess everybody knows this area or whatever. Which the layout's kind of odd. There's a forest, but they're also on the coast, and they're like, I don't know.
Oh yeah.
I mean, not saying there's not forests near the coast, but yeah, it's a whole like I don't really understand their whole town setup. Kind of need a map, kind of see how to see how it's laid out.
You could play the game. I think the game has an app. Yeah. So the farmer goes off into the middle of the forest and he sees the circus tent and he's like, "Oh, it's the circus. The circus is in town." All these other things.
That's an actual line.
We can get some of them free passes.
He's like, "There's something peculiar around here." He goes on about like, "Where's the ticket booth at?"
He's walking around the perimeter and like we see a shadow right of a clown from inside of the tent, and
which is kind of cool the way they shoot it because it makes it look like him walking. Yeah, because he's kind of skulking too, but like obviously it's not him because of the shadow.
Mm-hmm. The clown has like this funky hair where it's triangles on both sides of his head and on the top, so you know it's not his shit.
Typical.
That was a cool shot.
Yeah,
and then the farmer kind of walks away and leaves Pooh there. Right, he's just kind of sitting, and then this portal hole.
Well, Pooh like. Think he sees the shadow and he's like, "What?"
Yeah. Oh, you're right.
And then they're like they basically make a hole and then like they have like a comically large butterfly net and they just put it out there and then Pooh and then you just hear and then he turns around and like the dog's gone.
He's like, "Where's my dog?
What'd you do?"
Yeah.
He hits a what incarnation.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. His dialogue is perfect. Like he sold that character. He didn't have to sell it. Like it could have been a character like just thrown out those lines and whatever. Like, but this guy like he was that part. Like I
he
believe.
wanted you to know he
He
was a
was,
farmer.
yeah.
That's funny. And then I think he just like Jordan is saying, what is tarnation, whatever, and he touches like the rope that's connecting the tent to the
that
ground,
holds
and he
it
gets
down, right, yeah.
electrocuted.
He's electrocuted. It was like super chop-off fake, right? Because like he just screams. He's not really moving a whole lot. He's just like
And then the clown shows up, ugly ass mother, shoots him with a ray gun, right?
Yeah.
Turns him into cotton candy. And then it's the end of the farmer. And then we're at the police station. So at the police station, Officer Mooney brings in two goth kids, and he's just like he literally brings them in for no reason, right?
Oh no, they were
They were
drinking
They're
wine.
drinking wine in the park.
Yeah, which I'm like, who's the two guys? Is like that, like, and they're college kids, right? They're just like, yeah, no, we're just gonna go hang out and drink wine in the park. Like,
Yeah.
what? Like, so odd.
Yeah.
And so he brings them in, and he and Dave, which is the other officer who's at the desk or whatever, like Mooney's just begging for an excuse to like throw these guys in
Yeah.
jail, right? He's like, "Oh, you're making a ruckus. You make my job harder. XYZ." And Dave's like, "Nah, bro. Like it's fine. You don't have to."
And he even asked, like, do you go to college here? He's like, yeah. And like, yeah, we go to the college. He's like, why don't, and Dave's like, why don't you drink there? He's like, dude, it's our town too. Like, we're not, and like, they're not even causing problems, right? You can tell these guys like probably never got in trouble ever. And then Moody's like, well, I'm gonna book them. And he's like, they're done for. Like, I'm getting them for public intoxication. I'm getting them for an open container, resisting arrest. Like, they're done. I was like, dang, like, these dudes are just chilling. And like, yeah, no, they're going down.
I'm pretty
And
sure. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
oh no, what were you
I'm
saying?
pretty sure he was like trying to beat them up.
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
And then that was like, I think they made it very clear from the get go, the standoff of like Dave is the young cop. He's the by the book young cop. He's fresh off the academy, and there's obviously been tension between them because he brings up like, I know you don't like my by the book or you don't like my training. You're like, you're not, but it's also like Mooney's been a cop for 50 years or whatever, and he's just got on the force. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, they basically butt heads, and then he just like, all right, well, I'm taking them in, and so he just like walks them into the jail cell.
Yeah. And then we go back to Mike and Debbie, and they have reached the end of the road, right? So they're on their way to go to the park or whatever. The freaking road ends in the middle of the forest. Like, there's nowhere else to go. It just stops. And so they get out, whatever. They start walking. They find the same tent that the farmer did, and Deb immediately is like, bro, there's a friggin' circus in the middle. One tent circus in the middle of the friggin'
That happens, right? That's like a thing. That's a thing somewhere
in the middle of the forest. Nowhere else around.
where does the movie take place? College town,
No, it's
Texas,
something
USA.
something Cove. It's a cove because on the coast.
Oh yeah, Crystal Cove.
Yeah, I think it's a Crystal Cove.
I don't know.
I don't remember. It's something Cove.
Were they on foot when they got there?
Yeah.
Like they really just walked?
No,
Yeah, they
had a
drove.
cove. Yeah, they drove, and then
they reached the end of the road, and then they walked the rest of the way.
Which I'll throw out here. This is when, like, looking at it again now for like the 50th time, I'm sure I watched this movie. I was like, I think I kind of could tell. Like, again, I'm very big on like the farmer and Mooney are like my two favorite characters because I feel like they really sell their acting, but like Deb's act, like I just hate it. Like the whole like immediately like I don't know, and I'm just like she's not even really trying. Mooney's is good. Mooney invested in that part. Like his monologues are great. I love it.
The two main characters I feel are
Kind of lame.
kind of lame.
That's fair. So immediately Dev is like, nah, I don't want to go. I want to leave. And Mike's like, you want to be cool, don't you? Like, let's go inside. And so they make their way inside, and then it's just looks like a circus, right? Like a fun house kind of hallway or whatever. And they end up in like this intersection that has 3 different doors. And they open one of them, and it looks like
a silo.
The first one they opened?
Yeah.
No, they go. So first
like
they
a power plant.
Well, first they go in. They go in the tent, and it's a hallway, and it like already looks weird, right? Like because we hadn't seen the inside, so it's like the pink walls and like there's like designs on the ground, and it looks high-techy sci-fi. It's like sci-fi-y, but like the color scheme is not anything you've seen before because like usually that's a gray or dark blue or like light blue, whatever. Like you're thinking Star Trek, Star Wars, things like that. But it's pink, like everything's mostly pink and versions of pink. But yeah, like what you were saying, they go to the end of the hallway. It's like, well, look, like, let's just go to the end of the hallway and let's go to the doors and see what happens. And he pushes like the buttons and they make all the funny sounds. Like
Somehow he knows how it works.
yeah, he kind of pushes different buttons and the doors open like they're. I mean, Star Wars had the up, right? Because Star Trek was out.
Well, Star Wars is like this. They open from the center.
They open from the center.
See,
Okay.
they have their own unique.
Well, I've seen a lot of sci-fi movies have the ones they have where like it's like you're going a cylinder and like the door opens and then it turns in. Well, they like get sucked in like because they fall into it. And then what you were saying, I equated it to him earlier. It reminds me like of like what you're saying, power plant, or I forgot what I wrote it down as, but kind of like the
a nuclear reactor.
It's like the reactor, but like you've seen those like shots from Star Wars, like the way they have
throw
it.
Palpatine down the shaft.
Yeah, but it's like a shaft, like a reactor shaft, and so. But it's pink, and there's like the little orb. It's like, oh look, this is where all the electricity's going, or whatever. But they like do it in a way where it's like a far shot of like the people are like kind of smaller, and you can tell they like digitally put that screen there or whatever background. But it's, I mean, that's still okay for like 80s, late 80s, sci-fi for $2 million. I mean.
Yeah, they could have built the whole set.
I mean, they did for a lot of it.
Yeah, they did
for the spaceship part.
They built a whole town.
And so then they're like, oh, let's leave. Let's go into another door. And Dev's like, are you sure about that? And then Mike is like, it'll be cool. And so they go into this other door, and there's like cotton candy cocoons that are hanging all over the place. And Mike is pretty much like, hey, this will be cool, right? They go to the cotton candy, and then they open up one of the cocoons, and it's someone's freaking face, right?
Yeah, but he recognized who it is. He like says the name.
Tommy something, right?
I don't know. Somebody didn't matter.
Extra number 2.
Are we sure one of these wasn't like the old? Do we ever find out if one of these is the old guy?
He said the name, and I didn't know if that was the old guy. I think it was like Joe.
No, it was a younger guy.
It was like Joe something.
Because then we never see the dog again, too, right?
It's not Pooh!
Pooh, that. Yeah, whatever happened to Pooh?
Anyway, this is like a scene out of Willy Wonka or whatever.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah.
13th floor.
Yeah.
That's funny. So then after they figure out that there's a body in the sack, another clown comes in, right, to where they're at, and he starts messing with like some kind of popcorn machine, whatever. I don't know what the heck it is.
Yeah.
And then Mike and Dev make a run for it. The clown like sees them, gets some kind of
because he drops like I guess the flashlight or lantern or whatever he had because he's been holding it in his hand, and then he like hits something or he sees the guy, freaks out, and then drops it. So the clown's like, "What was that?" And they're like, "Oh, we gotta take off."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So then they're running in the hallways. Yay! The clown has a gun that shoots popcorn, and it follows
it.
$70,000.
That was the most expensive prop. It was
$70,000.
I was wondering because it like sticks to them, which I mean we touch on later. But I was so confused by like
they were shooting
like glued on the like they had no way to.
They just kept throwing it for every shot.
For every shot.
The soundtrack was really nice right here.
Yeah,
by the way, randomly.
Yeah.
That's
soundtrack. I'm about to say it was pretty dope. It was pretty good. It's like all 80s synth and drums tracks, right?
Yeah.
So then they make it out of the tent. Woo, yay! There's popcorn stuck on their bodies, just like Jordan is saying. And then they like they book you back to their car, and they're getting in the car, and this is where all the other clowns are showing up.
The clowns. Well, before that, the clowns also get out to the tent because it's important. And they blow up a balloon animal, and it turns into it's a balloon dog, and it has like a little string leash, and it's like, it picks up the scent. So when I first I know we will reveal later what the popcorn really is, but like I also thought it was like a scent thing too. So he like picks up on the scent, and he's like, and then like they walk the balloon dog like it's walking them.
I love this part.
Yeah.
I actually really like this part.
He's like, actually, now that I think about it. 5 out of 10 for this one scene. One scene right here.
I feel like it was done well because the dog like moves on its own.
Yeah, it was actually pretty good. Yeah, they actually. Yeah, I loved it for what it was. They actually did make it pretty look lifelike for like the movie.
Talented clowns. There were a couple shots where it went back and forth, and you could tell that it was kind of just
them walking.
So they use the dog and they follow them. To the car, and then they get in the car. The car. Ding, 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 takes forever to start or whatever the heck, and then they back up. They hit the clowns and they
Run
I run over the car.
Run over the
It said,
Yeah.
pop.
and then they hit more clowns and then they drive off.
Doesn't one jump on the windshield?
Yeah, Jordan, he gets hit. Yeah.
And then as they're making their way out or whatever, Deb's like, it's the classic, like, basically any alien movie, right? They're not going to believe us. What are they going to think? We're crazy.
And then you get the shot too of like the clown that like that didn't get run over, but one of the clowns that was chasing them like pops up into the screen of the camera and then like looks at the camera for a second, and then he looks back at the one that's on the ground and he like gets up, and then they start making their way. That's when we get the iconic them walking, and we get the iconic theme, the dun, 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 dun,
like that song.
and then and there's like 5 or 6 of them all like
Walking,
different shapes and sizes walking with a sign that says whatever 5 miles.
It does say that, huh? It does listen.
Yeah, and it's like 5 miles away. I'm like, man, the way that they're walking, they're gonna get there in time.
They just walked to that shot and they started running
They started
afterwards.
running after.
Or they did the invisible car.
Yeah, it took the invisible car.
Oh, that's funny. So Debbie and Mike, they make it to the police station. Okay, cool. And then Dave's inside. They start
But
talking.
you didn't tell them how it happens getting to the police station. Dave is sitting at his desk, and you just hear, skirt, skirt.
So
Everyone's
things
like,
go all over the car.
yeah, and then like you see, he goes out. He has enough time to get out of the seat, walk out of the station, go outside, and then sees them still like skidding. They hit trash cans. They go up the thing, and then like they're slowing down, and they still hit his police car like parked. And he's just like,
I didn't notice. Yeah, I didn't know
they hit the
I didn't
police car.
realize they hit it.
They hit it there too, and I'm just like, what? Like, it's so unnecessary, but it's so dumb.
That's
I hate the part where they talk to the cop. Is his name Dave?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The main character's name is Mike.
Mike,
Yeah, Mike
When
and
Mike's
Dave.
talking
Mike
to
is-
Dave outside, I hate this dialogue.
Mike Tobacco is his name. His last name is Mike
Tobacco.
That's his last
I feel like this dialogue is delivered. I don't know. I put that he was delivering dialogue like Drake Bell. That's
Bro.
like, he's talking about dead people, but he has like there's like no emotion. I don't know. I feel like he doesn't even.
That's why I said the protagonists were like not very good actors. Mooney and the farmer sold the movie, and obviously the aliens, but like
Yeah.
Had them
The clowns are aliens.
they go, "Yee!" They just
I'm
laugh.
pretty sure Mooney. Oh, we might get to that. I'm
Yeah,
pretty sure
okay.
Mooney drops that line.
Yeah, in the next scene, yeah. So, just like Jordan's saying, dead people, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. And then the clowns, we see them, like, getting into the town, right? And then one of them's, like, matching the animatronic of
Yeah, he
the
stops in front of a
gorilla outside of the drugstore.
drugstore, pharmacy, and like, and then the girls walk in and like look at it, and they just kind of like smirk and laugh, and then they walk in. But yeah, he's like doing it's pretty cool with a little animatronic motion.
He's good. He's good. He doesn't, like,
It
jolt,
was pretty
but
good.
actually
Yeah, it was
is
pretty
pretty
good. It was
good.
pretty good. It was pretty good acting right there.
And then he, like, looks at the entrance, right? Because I think the girl's going to the
Yeah.
drugstore, and the clown like makes his way into the drugstore. And then Debbie and Mike make their way inside of the station with Dave, and they start telling Dave what's going on. But then Mooney shows up, right? And he's like, "Oh well, what do you know?
Killer
Clowns from outer space." It's like,
Yeah, because they were trying to explain to him what they are, and
They
they
said the
Yeah.
line right. They said the line of the
Yeah,
movie.
yeah.
It's the name of the movie in the movie.
The movie could end.
Yeah, the movie ends right there. Yeah.
And then what he's saying, then he's like, "I'm telling you, there's dead people." And then he's like, "Well, Mooney, Dave's like, we got to take it seriously, Mooney. They're saying there's dead people." He's like, "Well, you can be made a fool of, but not me. I'm not going to be made a fool of."
Yeah.
And so like doesn't believe them, and then Dave ends up taking them right to
Yeah,
the car.
so Mooney recognizes who Mike is. He knows that he's friends with the Terenzi brothers.
Yeah, it turns out you're friends with the Terenzi.
And he's like, those guys are bad news. And us at the audience at this point, like, we're like, oh, they're just two knuckleheads. Like, they're
Yeah.
just whatever. And then, yeah, that's when Dave leaves with Mike and Debbie.
So get in
to
the
go
back seat.
figure it
Oh,
out.
yeah, Nick's just in the back,
I was
right?
wondering what that was about.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think this is where we find out that Debbie and Dave used to date or something like
Yeah,
that.
they used to date.
There's
Yeah.
some. I'll quote it later. There's some wild dialogue.
Some wild dialogue.
And then we get more shots of the clown wreaking havoc on the town. They're doing like there's like a gazebo in the park, and they're doing it. One of them
like
does
the
a
puppet
show.
show. The puppet
Well, like the guy, he's by himself. First of all, just randomly shows up to this gazebo, and then he sees the puppet show, and he's just like, "What is it, lame?" He like turns, and then
Sure,
like he
cool,
looks
that's
back.
it, yeah.
He looks back, and he's like, "Okay, all right, that's kind of cool." Because he has like the girl clown and the boy
Yeah.
clown. The boy clown's like keeps on trying to make the move, and she's like, "No, get away!" But no dialogue. And then she just like gets mad, and then she like
Lasers it.
and then pulls out the laser gun and just zaps it.
And then like it turns to the dude, right?
Yeah, and it has like a mad face,
and its face changes to be mad. It's the same that the imaginary did it, right? They got inspiration from this with the stupid ass ball.
Yeah.
That happened.
Oh,
Mad.
stupid. That's
Yeah, I
the
like
worst.
that movie.
He does. I forgot.
And then just as like, and then as like the gun gets pointed towards him, he's like, "What?" And then like the whole like thing that collapses the little stage, and then it's just the big clown, right? And he has the puppet with the gun in his hand, and he zaps him.
And he zaps him. And I think this is the part where you can see it. It's one of the points where they zap the dude, but you can see the pause in the screen where the dude is standing there getting shot, and then
they do like a flash of like pink, like it's like a, I don't even know, like a thunderbolt shape or like some type of weird
like
triangular
that, yeah.
shape, and then it just turns into the thing.
Yeah, but the screen like pauses, and you can tell the camera like shifts, like just
like it's a cut.
Yeah, like
It's
a
a
cut.
cut. They're like, "All right, get out of the shot now." You gotta do it again.
All right, let's play. So he's now cotton candy cocoon, and then we're back at the drugstore. And the clowns are just like opening all these packages. They're
And the pharmacist like,
Pharmacist
is like, "Can I help?" Like, doesn't want to say anything, and they're just destroying the entire place.
They are.
And you see the girls are in the cocoons because you see
Yeah.
their shoes and their feet hanging out,
And I think like the clowns are playing with like the shaving cream.
Shaving
right?
cream,
So they're like spraying each other.
they're destroying it. The pharmacist is just like,
He played a pretty good pharmacist. He played the pretty good pharmacist. That's how pharmacists act.
This is part of the movie where I was kind of like,
You're like,
the jokes weren't falling for me. Y'all talking about it is funny, but like in the moment, I was kind of like,
you're like,
why do we keep cutting back and forth?
Yeah, it had
"Wants to show you they're wreaking havoc on the town."
They're wreaking havoc.
They are.
Yeah.
And then we're back in the car. We find out that basically Dave wants to take Debbie home. It's the classic, like, "I don't want you to get hurt, XYZ, but I don't want to be home. I want to be with you." This is
Where he hits the crazy line.
Yeah.
He says, "You either go home or I'm going to take you back to the station and lock you up for safekeeping." This is allowed.
Yeah.
Which we find out later isn't at the safe. Anyways, but yeah, so it's just this back and forth. Do they?
Isn't Mike in the back like?
Mike's in the, oh no, Mike, because he kind of figures out.
They're having this dialogue.
As soon as they talk about, and he's like, he has like, okay, now it makes sense. Like why she came to him and why he's all the way he is.
He's like, "I can't change the way I feel about you."
Yeah.
I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's
Bad dialogue.
fucked up."
All three of these are the
And then we cut again to more clowns. We get the I think my favorite clown scene in the movie where they have the pizza delivery.
Oh,
it's the like the hot babysitter, right, opening the door to the pizza, and then it's the clown, and he has it like that, and then the pizza box opens up, and there's another clown inside.
It's I think the little one, I forget.
Shorty.
Yeah. And he like basically like opens up from the box and just zaps her.
Yeah. I don't know if you knew this, Jordan, but every single clown is named.
Yeah.
I figured there was a name. I named one of them myself.
Yeah.
Like
But
Shorty.
I assume they all had a name.
Shorty, Blippy, and Slim. There's some other ones.
I only knew Shorty and Clownzilla.
Is that actually a name?
Jojo is Clownzilla.
Jojo the Clownzilla, right?
Yeah,
I wrote Clownzilla in my notes.
For real? That's
yeah,
his
and I didn't see that.
Jojo the
I thought
Clownzilla.
this has to be Clownzilla.
This
I
is
was gonna call it
Clown-
Clown Rex, but
Clown
I saw his
Rex.
back and I thought.
Clownzilla.
So we'll get into who that is later. But yeah, so the classic pizza delivery, it's funny. And then there's another one, right, where it's this old lady and she gets to knock on her door. She opens up the door and it's a
It's the
clown with
flowers,
the
right?
Valentine's Day.
Or the Valentine's,
the
flowers
dark chocolates.
yeah.
And then she gets zapped.
Are these animatronics?
No, they're real.
they're-
This,
Mhm.
for some random reason, this like close up of the clown I thought was really nice.
Oh yeah.
Because he like smiles or something. And
Yeah.
it was really good.
The masks
The
are really
masks
good.
are they have like really like the masks are really animated.
That's where all
like,
the $2 million went.
yeah, I was like,
Actually,
ears
they said the masks were actually the least expensive thing to do.
that's weird though, because like they move. Like you ever look like the ears, they move and stuff, and like
Like
it's really
Yeah. the
like it looks like
eyes
it's
and
breathing.
everything.
Yeah, it's like really weird. It's creepy, but
So yeah, so then they finally, Dave, Mike, and Debbie, they finally arrive at Debbie's house. She wants to talk to Mike outside of the door, and it's basically like, oh, y'all go whatever, and I'm gonna follow y'all. Don't tell Dave.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, whatever. And so she goes inside, and then Mike walks back to the car, right? And as Mike is getting into the car, the officer like takes off.
Oh yeah, he makes him sit in the back, right? He's like, what the? He still makes him sit in the back. He's trying to get in the front. He's like,
and then he takes off before he puts a seatbelt on. That's funny. And then we're back at the pharmacy.
oh
Again,
yeah,
still wreaking havoc.
yeah.
Please,
It's still
just
the-
more of that.
Yeah, just honestly.
And then Mike and Dave, they make their way to the UFO site, right? So they get there at the car, they walk out, whatever, on foot, and there's a giant hole.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the freaking ground. And Dave is like, bro, I thought you said that there was a tent here. What the heck? And Mike's like, are you stupid? Did you not see the giant hole in the ground? And then
And
Dave
he's like,
is
did you make that?
Yeah.
And he's like, what the freak? And he's like, that's it, you're under arrest.
Yeah,
bro.
right.
Yeah, he's like,
He starts arresting Mike as if he could have dug this giant hole in the ground.
yeah, he thought it was like a prank, right? He was like, what the fuck?
That's funny. And then we get more shots. We're now at outside of a biker bar, biker
Oh,
club.
this is the best scene right here. This is the best scene, most iconic scene.
And one of the clowns pulls up on like a tricycle, right? A little bike, little Art the Clown style bike.
Yeah.
And then all the bikers are like laughing at him, like, ha ha ha, check out this freaking dweeb or
Yeah.
whatever. And one of them goes up to him and goes up to the clown and he's like, can I ride your bike?
He's
I like he was a good actor too. He
The
like
biker.
He was.
He had 3 lines.
Can I beat the
And then he said, he like destroys her.
Picks it up.
And then he still haunts it when he stops playing. Like, oh no, I think I broke your bike.
And then the clown like
Cries.
jumps in the air. Yeah, you're right. He
Yeah,
does
he goes-
cry.
he does the-
Woo-hoo.
Yeah.
Like the distorted, like how they do.
Yeah.
I like how they do it. The distorted
The voices.
yeah.
And then he like jumps 50 feet in the
Like,
air.
where'd
and
he
comes
go?
back.
And then comes back immediately with the boxing gloves. And he does like a spin, right? He does like he goes all around.
Yeah.
And then we get the most iconic line of the movie, which is, "What are you gonna do? Knock my block off?" He like uppercuts him, Mortal Kombat style, and like his head just like falls into a trash can on the. And what is it? That one biker. Well, the one biker first was like, "Man, he really should have let him just ride his bike." And then when he sees his head get knocked off, he's just like, "Damn!" And they all take off.
The knees all fold and everything.
Yeah, they're like
So
the
you can tell,
body-
yeah. It's bad.
We're at a Big Top Burger, so their version
Oh, yeah.
of McDonald's or whatever.
This was a little creepy.
Yeah,
That's
that's
a
one of the
little
super
creepy.
ones.
A little bit. A little
Yeah.
bit.
So basically, it's a mom and her friend.
Is
or
it the mom?
whatever.
I thought it looked like the girls from the.
I thought it was like a
sisters.
sister or
I thought it was the
something.
sisters from the ice cream truck. When I watched
Oh.
it again, it looked like them. It may not be, but it looked like them.
I don't know.
I could be wrong, but continue.
There's 2 women, and they're eating dinner or whatever, and one of their daughters is also with them, accompanying them. And she looks outside and she sees one of the clowns
on the
one of
crown, on the little thing.
Yeah, one of those like horse things that's on the springs, so it like bounces back and forth. And he does like the
No, he does the. He does the.
Oh, yeah,
hand-
he
Oh,
does
you're
the-
right. You're right. He
does
plays
the-
peekaboo or whatever, and she does it back.
Yeah.
And he's like luring her outside, right? And he does like the come here finger
Yeah.
or whatever, and it's kind of
Yeah.
And he has it like pans right towards him, and he has the hammer
Yeah,
behind
the
his
big
back.
hammer.
The big
Yeah.
hammer.
And then she's like walking out of the door, right? And the mom stops her.
Yeah.
And you can see, I think this is where like the face, like he frowns.
Yeah, he gets like mad.
And the
It's
mom
weird.
like never like she gets mad at the daughter like, what are you doing before you finish eating?
Yeah, I was like,
She
that's
never
good.
acknowledged
Yeah, she's like, oh, before you go to the street, you need to finish your food.
like this is like classic.
Yeah, for real.
And it's not like the clown is small. Like he's
yeah.
All the clowns are
Nobody
huge.
freaking nobody noticed it.
Like I thought she was gonna go like say something to the clown or something.
Yeah, no, she's just like, no.
And then turns right back around and
Yeah.
they go back inside. So then we cut back. We have Mike and Dave, and they're at Makeout Point or whatever the and they see all of the cars, and they're all empty. Mike is handcuffed in the back seat, can't do anything, and Dave gets out of the car and he starts investigating the different vehicles, and he sees like they're empty and there's signs of like the cotton candy and stuff like that, and they open the door to one of them, and it's like cotton candy all in the inside,
Like a
and
spider
there's,
web of it.
yeah, and there's like broken glasses, And so this is where it finally clicks for Mike, right? Like, oh crap, maybe this is real. And so he reaches in, gets the glasses, goes over to Dave, and is like, okay, I believe you. And so they uncuffed him, whatever. So then we cut to Officer Mooney at the station, and like the phones are going crazy, right? Like all of the
I think he picks it up once.
He
Before.
picks it up
picks it up once.
times.
Oh yeah, and it's
but the phones are like going off.
Yeah.
And you can tell at this point that he's received a bunch of calls about the clowns, and he's just
Yeah,
annoyed.
But he told them, he's like, nobody's gonna fool me. He's like, I survived Korea. I can survive this. It's the worst.
And so one of the calls that he gets is the pharmacist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, he's in on it too.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
And as he's hanging up, you hear the pharmacist scream, and
Yeah.
he gets shot with the ray gun. R.I.P. the homie.
Yeah.
But
This
yeah.
Jordan's favorite character is a pharmacist.
And then as he's like, basically the whole town is in on it. They're trying to run me out of the town or whatever. Like, okay, yeah, everybody cares about you that much. We get the clown to come into the police station, and then Mooney's like, bruh, what the heck?
He's like, you're in Mooney's world now.
Oh,
yeah. He's like, you made a big mistake.
Ooh, actually,
Yeah, so there was like one call, right? There's like
well, yes,
Well, he
there's one
gets-
call
he
to
gets
the
like one
pharmacist, and then it's y'all's favorite scene. It's the invisible car chase.
Oh yeah, invisible car chase.
stupid.
Some random guy on like one of the back roads in the
Yeah.
forest, and then he just sees like headlights behind him. They kind of blind him. He's like, what the heck? And then the car pulls up, and it's just a clown, and he like looks out. And he's not driving anything. It's an invisible car.
Just headlights.
It's
Just headlights.
And he starts ramming his car, and like he's like, "What the heck?" And they just keep on hitting. He just keeps on hitting him. And then finally, like the third one, he hits him, and then like the guy turns and looks, and he just hits.
goes off a bridge.
He goes off a bridge, and like the car like doesn't even go, but like not even like maybe 10 feet down. Hits the front, falls over, and then
Explodes.
Explodes, bro.
for no reason.
And then we get Debbie. She's getting into the shower. It's like,
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
dude, I thought you were gonna follow them, but I guess you have
Yeah.
to take a bath first. So as she's getting undressed or whatever, she throws her clothes into a hamper, and the hamper starts to move.
Yeah.
And
the
then you
popcorn
see-
on the floor.
We see the popcorn on the floor
starts
starts moving, and so we start figuring out that the popcorn is not just popcorn,
Popcorn, yeah.
and it's not just
Yeah.
a scent thing. It's actual like larva is what they call it.
Yeah.
Like not in the movie, but like
They're
in
like
their
larvas,
lore,
yeah.
they're like larva for the clown species, and so
Doesn't after this like this scene, right? This is where like they're back
They-
at what is the burger joint, and like the one of the clowns sprinkles like some of
yeah,
it
he
in
sprinkles
the
the popcorn
dumpster,
in
right?
the dumpster.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
dumpster. And then and then some worker, right? Some poor minimum wage
Yeah.
employee is like
He's like,
just
"Hey, my
getting
job."
rid of
Yeah.
the freaking trash. And the
He hears the
dumpster
movie,
moves,
yeah.
and he like opens it up, and he gets sucked in, and he gets eaten in the freaking dumpster. So then we cut to Dave, and he's talking to Mike, and is saying, "Sorry for being me."
Is it-
And then the clowns.
It's just that. Sorry for being me. Next scene.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. The next scene is the bus stop.
Damn, the pacing is really bad. Like now that we're talking about it,
So
it's
bad.
just like so everywhere.
Yeah,
It's just like-
it's really like, which like it makes sense, right? Because like, how if you watch the entire car ride that Dave and Mike take, like how much
Yeah,
are they actually?
Still, yeah, probably
Yeah.
not a lot. Yeah.
So one of the clowns pulls up to a bus stop. The bus stop has like 6 people waiting for the bus trying to go home, whatever. And he starts making like shadow puppets.
Shadow puppets,
I
There's
think
like
the
a big
first one is like
spotlight. There's a big
Yeah,
spotlight.
I
on the
don't know,
wall.
right?
the first one he makes is like a rabbit.
bunny, yeah.
And then does he make the classic dog? I don't think
No, he does the rabbit, and then he does, and then one of the guys not impressed, right? Like one guy's like, "What the heck?" But all the older people are like, "Oh, cool." And then he does like another. He does an elephant.
Yeah.
He does an elephant. He does like almost like Naruto sign with his
Yeah.
hands to get them to work. And then the third one is my favorite one. It's the
Confederacy.
no, it's the where they're crossing the
That's what it
crossing
is,
the
yeah.
river.
Yeah.
The George Washington.
Yeah.
Stupid. Right? It was like the little patriotic song.
And this clown's finger, he has
Yeah,
like
it's
4 of them,
they're all
and they're all like
fat.
3
Yeah.
inches wide.
But he's making these
Yeah.
like
It like shows his fingers.
Yeah, it shows what he's doing too, right? So
That's like my favorite one. And then he does like another funky one too. And then that's and then that's when Dave and
Dave and Mike show
show up,
Yeah,
and
they
he's
see
like,
the
"Hey,
clown.
there's a clown right there, shoot him!" And the guy's
Yeah.
like, what? Like,
Yeah, exactly.
you can't just shoot
Mike
him.
should get caught.
Yeah, for real.
Say that.
There you go.
He's like, just shoot him. And the guy's like, what are you doing? And so he's like, they're still staring at him to see what happens. And then finally you see the evil grin. He said, and he does turns into a T-Rex, and the eyes turn red on the puppet, right? And then the shadow puppet basically just like eats the people and like absorbs them, and that's it. Like that's
he puts him in the bird.
Yeah, it makes no
birds.
sense. It makes no sense how it works. Like, do they become miniaturized? Like, do they like what happens?
So
to
it's
them?
funny if you look at like the wiki for like the entire lore of like the clowns.
Oh, Lord.
Like the powers.
He's in the Terrifier lore, and he's in the Killer Klowns lore.
The amount of like powers that they have, like when you add them up, are
It's a
like
lot.
completely ridiculous. So obviously they have superhuman strength. They're super intelligent because of all their technology things that they have.
They can move in space.
They
Right?
can
Like,
move
you
in
have to be
space.
smart to
Yeah.
build a
They-
UFO to move around.
I mean, at this point, they are able to make sentient balloon animals. Shorty has been able to like shrink into a pizza box and re-expand. They can jump really high and reappear. They can like morph and change their hands and bodies and things. So like, there's a lot of things that they can do, which is
Bro,
like.
he
and then
takes the car, right?
He takes the car. Yeah.
Well, no, they're driving. He's still
Yeah,
Dave's still in the front with the wheel, and like Mike, I think pushes the pedal or
Yeah.
Pushes
something.
the pedal and has
Yeah, he reaches his foot over. Yeah,
And, like,
Yeah.
And he like steers it to try to run him over, and it looks like they're gonna get him pinned in the wall, and the
He
clown
just
just like
jumps up.
whoop. And then the worst, like, that's the other thing I don't like about this movie is both times there's like a vehicle thing that happens, like the car.
Oh, it's all slow.
It's
right?
all
So-
slow. It like hits it at like a mile an hour, and
Yeah.
then, but they overact with the crash.
So then at this point, right, like Dave knows what's going on. He's seen it for himself. He's seen the evidence, whatever. So he calls Mooney and he's telling Mooney to get the state police, right? All these other things. And Mooney's like, oh, you're in on it too. You're trying to
you're
run
not gonna get
me
me.
out.
So he starts drinking.
Yeah.
This is where he starts ignoring
Yeah,
that
it's
call.
like what the. He's like,
Yeah, the phone has like there's like 3 different phones in the
Yeah.
station, and all the lights are lit up, and he's just like reading a magazine. Is it like it's like a gun magazine too? Or
Yeah.
it's like Revolver 16 monthly or something. I don't know. It's something funny. I'm just like, oh god.
That's funny.
What's his name? Who's the main character? Mike. He's like, I'm gonna
Tobacco.
go catch up with the Trenzy brothers. We're gonna go warn people. He's like, that's a good idea. I'm going back to the
You're right,
station. Yeah.
So then Mike is telling them what's going on, and the
Yeah.
Terenzi brothers are like, are you sure? Like, are you
Yeah.
high?
Oh yeah, they're like, he's like, we gotta go get Debbie, and they're like, we gotta sell ice cream. They're like, bro,
And then nobody tells us like, no, come. That she has roommates.
Yeah.
And they're like, really?
like, they like ice cream.
They're like, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're single. Or
Yeah,
something.
they're like, yeah, all right, I'm in.
Bad.
I did.
That's
Right,
funny.
and then they entered Clown to
Yeah.
the police station, which this is a setup to like a good scene that happens after the station. But like, I really like the whole like again they play up that like Mooney doesn't believe him, and he's like, yeah, you're in Mooney's world, you're not gonna do anything to me. And then like the clown like pulls out the flowers, and he's like, oh, flowers for me, like trying to
Plays
hand it up.
along, right? Plays
Yeah,
along,
and then they
yeah.
squirt the water on him, and it's all like it's like a good like 45
Yeah.
seconds of just straight water, and he's just taking it right,
Yeah.
like not even getting mad at first, and then he just finally like, all right, you done it now, and he's like, all right, turn around, and like the clown like abides, he like turns around, right, he
The
kind of like
handcuffs,
shuffles,
yeah.
and he handcuffs him, and then as soon as he's trying to pull him,
The hands
the
come
hands
off.
just come off, and he's just like, what
There you go.
the heck?
They have regenerative abilities. Add
Yeah.
that to the list.
And the clown like laughs and looks at him, and he like, what? He kind of stops for a second, and then the clown like makes his way to the door that's to the jail cells, and he's just
Yeah.
like walking in there, no hands, and the guys are complaining, Mooney, let us out,
Yeah.
from like before, like we need a phone call, my lawyer.
Yeah, I want my one call, XYZ.
Yeah.
And then the clown,
He books him. He ends up putting him in the cell.
Yeah.
he grows his hands back.
Yeah.
Right? Mooney's like, show me your hands. And there's nothing there. And then
Grow back.
they pop out. And then he handcuffs him again or whatever, throws him in the cell. And you can see, like, I think the clown starts drooling or something like
No,
that.
he tries to hit him, like just like I don't know.
Oh, yeah,
off,
yeah,
the,
yeah.
off the books
Yeah,
or
he's
whatever.
he was gonna or he
He
was gonna do something to him first. But like he was talking or something or giving some speech, and then like the other clown was like making fun of him, and then
Oh,
like
yeah.
and he turns around again, and the clown's like just
Yeah.
sit still. But then what you're saying, like as he's finishing going in the cell, he hits him in the back of the head.
And then this head turns around.
Yeah, his
There's a
head
180.
like completely 180s,
Yeah.
the Exorcist style, and then he closes the gate on him because his body turns too. And this is
Yeah.
when he does the party The party horn.
yeah. What the
He does like a party horn that goes through the bars and it turns into a hand.
Yeah,
Turns into a hand and pulls him back and like basically hits his head on the bars and then knocks him out.
And then there's a line like the two guys who are already in there. They
What
look
are
at the
you
clown
in
and they're like,
What
"What are you in for?"
The dialogue's really bad. The dialogue's really, really bad.
And then we move to Debbie, and she's getting out of the shower.
Basically the different the hamper moves and then it opens and it's pretty iconic for the movie. It was the two small alien heads and they're like almost like flowers, like snake flowers.
Plants versus Zombies.
Yeah, and so they're like there and they're like basically trying to attack her and she like fends it off.
She fights them all with hairspray.
Yeah, she maces them with hairspray. And then the one out of the toilet comes, and he's bigger, I guess, because he was well fed with water. Actually, it makes sense whenever we get towards it.
Get in the toilet?
I don't know.
Oh, it's because it crawled. I think it crawled and it like went in.
I guess.
Yeah, it crawled in there. I think it did show it. Like it crawled in there whenever
she shat it out.
And the big one came out, and with that one, I'm trying to remember what
she gets
did.
The shower head.
The shower head. She like basically
she
plugged it in the mouth and it's just like
turns it all the way up.
This one was done well too. I like how they made it move and stuff.
Yeah, they were pretty cool.
And then she like runs out.
So Dave gets to the station and he walks into like the office area and there's like red clown footprints on the ground, and so he follows them to the where the jail cells are,
and they're like going up the wall too.
Yeah, going up the walls, all over the ceiling, all these other things. And then there's a cotton candy cocoon in the cell, and
actually split. It's two, but it looks like it's split in half. One of them because one of them is just an arm, like it's just the arm from one of the guys hanging out.
Yeah, the one at the top.
Yeah.
And then he opens it up. There's like a dead body. And then he walks back into the office, and this is one. This part gave me like the creep.
I was gonna say this is a creepy scene, like the lighting and everything like that. It was really
he walks out and it does the classic. No, you clear the chair turn, and the clown like turns the chair like.
It was creepy.
I'll let you describe it.
So the clown turns around, right, and then Dave's like looking at him, and then he gets Officer Mooney's body, and he has like we only see the shot from the front. So at this point, we just see like Mooney, and he has like the classic dummy, right?
His blood. The way they have it, his blood is dripping down.
And he has like blood on his cheek.
Oh no, almost like the pink like blush like almost, but there's like circle, but the blood is what looks like the ventriloquist dummy.
Yeah, that's what I was
split.
Yeah,
it moves.
And so the clown is using Mooney's body to communicate with Dave, and it's like,
and what did he say? Do you remember the dialogue?
Yeah, so I don't remember like some of it, but the line that stuck out to me was the clown using Mooney to tell Dave, "Don't worry, Dave. All we want to do is kill you."
Yeah, I want to do is kill you.
That's creepy.
And again, I thought Mooney delivered that line pretty well.
Yeah, pretty good. And then the clown removes his arm from the body. The body falls, and his arm is all bloody red. So like
he basically in his back is fine. Yeah. That's pretty cool. I did like that scene. That's a good one. It's a good iconic scene too. No, not very many people talk about it, and it's not brought up like other than other scenes that are pretty funny. But
it's probably the creepiest scene.
It is a creepy scene.
And so then Mooney's like, pulls out his freaking revolver. Dave. Mooney's dead. Pulls out his gun.
Mooney pulls it out still.
And he starts blasting, right? And then he hits the clown in the nose. And the clown
he spins around like a green vortex, but then he explodes in confetti.
Candy Crush animation.
The Candy Crush animation.
That's funny.
So this is the point where we figure out like the weakness. So like we figure out that the nose is like a weak point. So if you break the nose, then they die.
They die.
Which is kind of funny.
So the state police, I think, get a hold of Dave while he's in the station, right? And they're like, "Oh, we're sending help."
No, they're like, "Hey, what are these reports? We're hearing about clowns." And they're like, "Yeah, we're being serious." And like even the guy at the end is like, "All right, well, calm down. We'll send some people down there." Like not even nonchalant. Like there's people dying. And he's like, we'll send some people down there. Don't worry, just stay calm. They're like,
stay calm. It'll be fine. And so then we go back. We're cutting to the ice cream truck now, and they're driving around. Paul and Rich are giving Mike a hard time, right? Like, Killer Klowns, XYZ. And then they pull up they turn the corner and there's like a clown parade.
Oh yeah,
Right,
that was
going
crazy.
With the giant vacuum, and they're like vacuuming up the different cotton candy
Different
like
cotton
body
cuckoos,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
The people in like some of the apartments, right, that are on the like third floor or whatever, and they're throwing
Yeah.
cocoons out of the windows.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're
There's a lot of
vacuuming
clowns.
up. Yeah, and they're like, okay, we believe you now.
Yeah.
And then they drive away. So this is where I have Debbie is now attacked by the snake.
So the snake thing happens,
Yes,
She hears a
a knock.
and she opens it. Oh, because she thinks,
it's
it's a
'cause
mimic. They mimic the
mimic-
voice.
they
That's
mimic-
another power.
They
See?
mimic Dave's voice,
Yeah.
Mike's voice, one of them.
Well, they-
Because with
did
the
it with
puppet, it
Rudy.
makes sense
Yeah.
to me, but then he hits the voice anyway without the.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like,
She opens the door and it's a clown and
He's like, hey.
yeah. Trying
Oh no,
to
they do a
lure-
balloon. They do a balloon.
Yeah,
well, not
they-
yet. She tries to run out the window. She tries to jump out the window, and
And
they're
there's
like there
more
to catch her.
clowns. They have like the trampoline, right,
Yeah.
to catch her or whatever.
And then they break in.
They
All
break
of them break in, and they
Yeah,
balloon her.
They shoot her with another different
gun.
balloon.
She gets put into like a giant yellow balloon that like holds her somehow safely as they drive down. The
Yeah,
road
all
together
crazy,
at
right?
100 miles an hour.
So the ice cream truck pulls up to Debbie's house, and then they see the balloon. The people inside of the truck see the balloon where Debbie is inside, and the clowns are like, "Ha!" They do like the whole like SpongeBob kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
Like,
They're like, we gotta get out of here. Like, that's what they're not like the most powerful things right there.
exactly.
They're like, oh, it's an ice cream truck. Oh, run.
So then the clowns take off in their clown car, and then the ice cream truck is following them, and then they like
They're going fast, too.
Yeah, they're
The
going
clown
like
car is
super
like
quick.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
I think they sped the scene there, right? It looks
They
like
do,
it.
and then
It's also like a roadster though. It's
Yeah.
like an old school like racing car that's souped up. You know.
It's crazy.
and then this is when Dave sees them driving by, so he turns his sirens on to follow them, right? Oh, he knows the ice cream truck, whatever. Okay, cool. And so as they're like exiting off the highway or whatever, the brothers who are driving the truck are like, "Oh shit, the
It's the
popo,
cops."
it's the cops!" And so they like slam on
Yeah.
their brakes.
Oh no!
and
One
slow
of them tells
down.
him stop, and then he
Yeah.
stops, and
It's
then,
literally
Right
it's like,
there.
yeah, it's like, what the fuck?
and they crash into him, and it's like, "What's wrong with you? Why did you tell me to stop?" It's like, "There's a cop. I told you to pull over." No, you told me to
The
stop.
bickering, right?
See, I didn't realize they hit a car in the beginning, which is funny. The front of the car is like,
They really do put a number on this freaking cop car. Like it
Yeah.
gets hit all the time. And so the cop car rear ends the ice cream truck. They get out. They argue, whatever, and they're like, "Everybody get in the truck. We gotta go follow these people." Okay, cool.
They're trying to figure out where to go. They're like,
Yeah.
where would you go if I was a clown? They're like,
And then they're like, "The amusement
Yeah.
park, Stock, Fiesta,
Yeah.
Texas, Pleasure Pier."
this part's kind of sad.
oh, the security guard?
It's more security.
Yeah. He just wanted to see.
Yeah, so there's like, so basically they're like, yeah, there's an amusement park, which is like, okay, great, nobody's talked about this amusement park until now, and I guess it's
I don't know.
cool.
I need the map again.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
it's-
real, right?
And then it shows the roadster like and the ice cream truck like they all like go on the coast basically of like, okay, there's like a whole like pier of an amusement park, and so the roadster pulls up and it's just lone cop. He's barely opening up his sandwich to eat,
Yeah.
like his night shift meal.
Yeah.
And like the roadster pulls up, and then he's like, okay, and then like one clown gets out. He's like, hey, we're closed. Like, what are you doing here?
They
And then,
gotta
like,
leave.
and you gotta leave, and then more clowns get out. And he's just like, what's going on? And then like Shorty, the last one, right? And then what is he? He kind of like looks at them some more. He's like, yeah, y'all can't be here. I need to go. And then
They
all of
pull
a
out
sudden the
pies,
pies come
right?
out of nowhere.
They pull out the
And then
pies.
my favorite line, the way he delivers it, like everything before that out the window, he just like resets himself and he's like, what are you gonna do with those pies, boys? And they just start throwing it at him.
the acidic
This
pies, right?
acidic pie. So like the way they shoot it is they just show the cop and it's just nothing but just pies just hitting him, and he's just getting stuck with more like a certain amount of pies, like ridiculous amount of pies, and then eventually like he just kind of melts.
That was pretty sad.
And then at the end, the clowns are walking in with the balloon, and then Shorty has the
cherry.
the giant cherry. He puts it on top of the whipped cream body, like leftovers, and just wants it.
All these like extra characters really kill the performance.
Yeah.
Dude, they
They should have just been that. Yeah, everybody
That was
did
my
good,
line.
yeah.
What are you gonna do with them pies,
The
boy?
aliens can make too. Or
Yeah.
the clowns, so.
They can bake. They can bake.
That's funny. So the ice cream truck pulls up to the fun house, and then they all get out, right? They walk inside. As they're going inside, they're like, oh, hey, look, a giant pile of ice cream. And then they see the bones of the...
They're all touching it, right? They all put their fingers in it. They're just like, what is this? After, right? They're like, I wouldn't touch that. They see the bones. They're like...
Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't this the same tent from the beginning?
Yeah, it is.
They moved
it to a... I guess we should have been clear. It's so the haunted house is what the security guard was in front of, and I think the tent, their spaceship, they put it behind it.
Yeah.
So it connects. So like you'll see when they walk in with Dave, like it starts out with the haunted house because it has all the different cutouts of the creatures that are supposed to be scary. But then it like slowly morphs into a stairwell with fog, and then you can tell it gets to like the weird animatronic, not animatronic, but weird like sci-fi spaceship. Like it just kind of merges with it.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
Well, it was weird.
When they're like, we're in the same tent from earlier, I'm like,
yeah.
what you get from that?
Crazy though too is like I just like I don't know. I thought it was just like weird. Not weird, but like the way that they shoot everything from the spaceship and the tent and everything, where it's like super dark. It's all like blacked out set, and it's just like certain objects that are like poking out. I think it's interesting, but they did like rely on that a lot so that they can save money and not like make the whole spaceship set. Right? So it's mostly dark, and then it's like the one little like wooden staircase they walk down is like really like bright. And then it's like just fog when you can't see the floor, and then like just different things. It's just kind of cool.
Random pop-ups.
Cool little videography.
So as they're like walking around, they're just kind of making small talk about the different theories about why the clowns are there, right? Like maybe they visited our ancestors once, and that's where we got the concept of clowns and all these.
Makes
other
sense.
Could be, makes sense.
And then I think this is where Dave tells them too, right, to shoot him in the nose, destroy the nose,
destroy the
guy
nose.
or whatever. And then, so they're telling Paul and Rich, they're like, hey, we know that y'all are the two dweebs. Stick with us so that way you don't like get lost.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, okay, no problem. And so Dave opens the door. As he's opening the door, a trap door opens, and David or Paul and Rich fall into the ball pit. Yeah. And then as they're like getting up, there's like two women clowns.
The only women clowns in the whole movie.
And they like inflate their chest, and then
titties.
And then what is?
Can we say that?
I don't know. And then what does one of them say? He's like, "Oh, are you Debbie's roommate?"
Debbie's roommate.
That's so bad. So then Mike and Dave realize that the two brothers are gone. Okay, whatever. They're inside of the
They didn't
UFO.
even care. They're just like, he's like, they'll be fine.
Yeah, he's like, they'll be fine. They'll make their way around or something. And then they get to the giant, all the cotton candy cocoons, and there's a lot more of them, right?
Yeah,
Where, like
it's like
before,
the whole
Even the guy Dave was like, "Oh wow, this is cool." It's like, bro, there's dead bodies in here. Like, what are you doing? They're not dead bodies, but they're bodies of people.
Yeah. And so they're starting to like walk around, and you can behind the cocoons, you can see that there's like
balloons.
other balloons that
they're trying to look for Debbie's.
Right. So that we could I like infer that other people are trapped in them. They don't care about them. They just want the girl.
Yeah, honestly, right.
And so while this is going on, another clown enters the room, and he gets like the world's craziest
silly straw. Yeah,
it's like a sign, like you know how like they'll do that in like old sci-fi movies where like it's a ridiculous beaker, like but like how they
the still stuff,
stuff. Yeah, so that's what it basically reminded me of. It was like overdone, and he sticks it right in one of the cocoons.
He's like,
and so
like
before,
he feels it like a fruit.
He knocks on it. He's like, oh, yeah, it's good. It's good. And he like pokes it in there, and he starts drinking it. And so that was one of the things they refer to it as is their dietary restrictions. They're liquivores because they drink it in liquid form. So it's basically their blood / whatever like bones and stuff that does dissolve from the cotton candy. Like the cocoon basically like deteriorates them, kind of like an owl when they eat their prey.
That makes sense.
They end up finding so the clown walks off after he gets his meal.
He freaks out, right? He's like, they are here to eat us.
Yeah. They find Debbie's balloon, and Dave pulls out his gun and just freaking shoots.
Oh yeah, all loud, right?
Yeah.
He's like, you're gonna kill someone. He's like, bah.
I'll be fine.
Yeah, he's like, they'll be fine.
And then they start making their way out, and the clowns start showing up, right? And then there's like a chase scene. Or whatever.
And then they're chasing him down, and then he has like a shotgun at this point, right? Like
he starts shooting a couple of them.
Sure, he hits one of them, I think. And then they get to a hallway, and this is my other like funny favorite scene, but just terribly acted. And it's the one with Mike. I'm sure you laughed at this part too. Where like, all right, open the door, and he opens the door. He's like, it's another door, and then opens the door. It's another door. It's another door. And he just keeps on saying it. It's another door. Just keep on hearing him say it's another door. Or he just says it like 50 times. It's another door. And then
he's like going so. Not
yeah, and he's going so. He's like, he looks and he's like shocked. He's like,
it's another door.
One man has like a shotgun.
I know, he's all trying to get it. They're all coming, right? He's all taking his time. What?
They finally, I guess, to a small door. He opens it. All right, let's go. And then they push in.
Shoves her through.
Yeah. And then they get to a point too where they're going down a pole, right?
Like a
fireman's pole. And they go down. And it's dark. Like you can't see anything. And so like they go down, and then same thing. Shotgun shoots again, and then the cop goes down. He's like, why did y'all not go all the way down? And then like the garlic pit from Star Wars,
yeah.
and the thing like comes out and like it's like a monster. And he's like, oh, that's a good reason. It's like,
what purpose does that serve? What's the point of that thing?
And secondly, how did they? There was a hole there too, so there's no way they could have just physically like stopped themselves and like, hey, you know what? Let me not go down there. Let's stop right here.
Yeah.
It was just funny. I thought it was pretty funny. Yeah, it's like the car leg monster.
So after they go through the doors, they use the shotgun because it's out of ammo to barricade the door.
Yeah.
The very last one. And then they're in this giant room. It's really dark, just like Adam was saying.
The boss room.
It mimics the like the center ring for like a circus, right?
Yeah.
It has like the center podium or whatever, and all the clowns start coming out, right?
With
like bats and stuff, and then just like
big old hammers.
Where'd their guns go? Like, you know, not one of them had a gun. Not one of them had a gun. They had all these guns.
Well, so I think somebody had pointed out like with this part, like this is like showing the clowns like their sadistic side of like they could just shoot them, but like I think they've not maxed out, but they've gotten to a good point of like they filled up enough food, so like at this point they're just doing it for fun. Like they don't need to like actively like get more food. Like they're stocked.
He's in the lore. I'm telling you.
In the lore, yeah.
They could fight him again.
They used all their ammo. That's the better reason. They're out of ammo.
That's funny.
Popcorn.
They ran out of popcorn.
So there's like some kind of center platform, just like you're saying, and they all climb on. The three people climb on top of them, and the clowns are like, right, like hitting like that. Their feet. They're not hitting them, but they're like.
Don't they like kick one off?
Yeah, they kick little one off and stuff like that. And then this is when the Terenzi brothers show up to save the day. They crash their freaking ice cream truck through the wall of the tent.
And it's the silhouette, right?
Yeah.
The head's through and everything like that.
It's so good.
It's bad.
And so they use like the intercom from the ice cream truck to say, oh, this is JoJo, the bear clown or whatever the heck, the superior one. You will obey. Let them go.
And the clowns like back off.
They're just looking at him. They're just like, okay.
I thought that was gonna be it for a second. I can't lie. I looked at the time left and I thought, God, please.
They just die or what?
Oh wow, that's it. Okay.
They haven't do it.
Yeah. And so like and then at this point the three run to the truck like, oh hey, there we go, we're saved. And then like out of nowhere we get like the big final boss music theme, and then like the giant clown with strings, like almost like a puppet, like comes down, and then they reveal the true JoJo Clownzilla. and basically they release that, and so they know for sure, like, hey, yo, like they all run, right? All the clowns run after this. Yeah, so I think that's a hierarchy thing too that they talked about, that like the Clownzilla is like the leader of them because he's like the biggest, like nobody's gonna mess with him. Although he.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, but he's just big. He doesn't use any power.
Yeah.
Like, what made him do that? Like, was the ice cream truck clown so offensive?
Yeah. He was like, what the hell? He's like,
now you've gone.
Yeah. He's like, no one talks about me like that. He's like, I'm built like a truck.
That's so bad.
Built like a truck.
And so they're basically like, Dave tells Mike, Debbie, and the Terenzi brothers, right? Like, hey, get out of here. I'll distract him or whatever.
They're like, it's a rental. We can't.
What? They're like, how are we going to pay for the truck?
Yeah, that's what they care about, right? After they crashed it, they rear-ended it like several times. They're like, it's a rental.
Yeah, like Clownzilla basically like runs up to them. He like beats the snot out of the head of the truck to kill the clown, basically. And then like he beats the top of it a couple times, and then he just grabs the truck, tosses it across the room with the Terenzi brothers
Still in it.
and then like as soon as it hits the ground and skids,
It just explodes.
overdone Michael Bay explosion, like at least explodes like 15 times. But like as it gets thrown, you see the Terenzi brothers fly into like the back of the truck, so that's gonna be important later. They like fly into the back of the truck because it's just really like a curtain that separates the front and the back. But yeah, then like immediately as soon as it hits, it like 10 explosions, overdone, like really big. I'm like, really? That's what made it explode?
There's the budget.
Yeah, there's the budget right there. It
Explosion.
just explodes.
Those look like real explosions.
I think they were.
Like 5 different ways.
That's funny. So Mike and Debbie make it out from the giant hole that the freaking truck came
Oh yeah,
through.
he's like, run. Dave's like, run. They're like,
Yeah.
what about you? He's like, I'll be good.
I'll be good.
Trying to fight Clownzilla.
With his little revolver.
Yeah.
I think he shoots, he misses him.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like 3 feet away,
Yeah.
but still misses or whatever until like, what is it?
Because he's using a pistol at this point, or
yeah.
his revolver.
So Debbie and Mike, they make their way outside. Okay, cool, they're safe. But Clownzilla picks Mike up, right? And this is the worst. So then we start to see that the UFO, the Turkish tank,
starts taking off.
And
Yes.
the state police are finally pulling up.
Yeah, they're finally pulling up. And then Clownzilla grabs Dave and he's like, holding him like that or whatever, up to his face. And Dave pulls off his badge. And he uses the freaking pin on it to pop the Clownzilla's nose.
And he explodes. It is a big explosion too, isn't it?
It's so big it blows up the UFO.
Yeah.
Well, I guess, or I don't know. Okay, maybe you know because you're the lore guy. If his life was linked to the UFO because it only exploded when he died, or was his explosion so big it blew up the
I
UFO?
think both.
Both of them. So Debbie and Mike are looking from like 50 miles away or
How did they
something.
get
like
that?
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
They walk down and they're all the way back on.
And they see the tent explode, and they're like, "Oh no!"
And by the way, the tent has cleared the ground. It's
Yeah.
at least a good from that
it's
distance.
like 1,000 feet in the air.
Probably 1,000 feet in
Yeah.
the air, and it just explosion blows up, and it's like not even like the explosion like they showed everywhere else. It's like fireworks. It's like green fireworks popping.
Yeah.
And then they're just like, oh my goodness, and like they don't even overact like, oh my gosh,
Just
all
like,
these people are dead. It's like, oh man,
Yeah, the whole town's dead.
Yeah.
Like, they wiped the whole town out.
And then all of a sudden you hear comical, and it just the racer car lands, and everybody pull and they also, I thought this was funny too. Before that happens, when the cops pull up and get out of their car and they find the kids, or Mike and them, they like don't have their guns wielded or anything, but they like show a close up of this random like female cop with like a giant like jerry curl hair, like
the old Mexican lady.
no,
Yeah.
like I don't know, no, just like a lady, just a lady cop, right? And so then when it gets to the point where the roadster hits, everybody draws their guns, and then she's in the background and she doesn't move, like she just stands there. She's the only cop that does not draw her gun, like.
Line.
So all of them are like, and she just stands there like, and I'm just like, what? Like she got a close up, and then when they do it again, not a close up, but like a pan, and like she's still focal point center of that spot. She's the only cop that doesn't pull out her gun. That doesn't pull it out. But anyway,
They needed an extra.
So-
They were like, they got someone's mom. They're just like, just play this part.
so then
real quick.
the car opens up, and it ends up being the Dave and the Terenzi brothers, right? Yeah.
And they said,
And they have ice cream. They're eating ice cream.
and they said that they hid in the freezer when the car
the ice cream.
exploded.
Yeah, it
of
doesn't
the
make any
ice cream
sense.
truck.
Is this pre-Indiana Jones or post-Indiana Jones?
I have
I
no
think it's
idea.
1988.
post.
It has to be post.
I think it's post.
Huh.
Yeah.
Who did it first?
Yeah, who did it first? Who did it? Who copied the movie?
Yeah, he like somehow as the car was getting thrown, because then they flew back into it as it was getting thrown, and immediately as it hit, it blew up. Somehow they got in the freezer. But they were eating a lot. They were eating popsicles. Like that was their thing. They were really-
It kept their body cold, so they didn't catch.
I'm just
the
curious
fire.
how Dave survived.
The racers like the car's probably indestructible.
Everything
I
else.
think the
Is,
clown-
Yeah,
I don't even know.
maybe it's like I don't know. Maybe the interior of it because there's like they all fit in there, right?
Dave literally got dropped when the explosion happened. How did it like car? Where was even the car at? Like
Because what did they land in? They landed in the
they landed in the
Yeah,
roadster.
Like,
yeah.
how did they?
The roadster wasn't in the vehicle.
Maybe it was on the ground and he fell into it and it
No,
closed.
the roadster fell from the sky. But that was my thing.
Where was
They
the
didn't-
roadster at?
It was
Yeah.
still parked.
no?
It was still parked outside.
Oh.
the whole thing
Oh, weird.
fell in the car and it bounced.
I didn't think about that.
The car was. They parked it. They didn't bring it in.
It was another roadster. There was a second roadster.
After they hit it in the freeway.
Yeah,
That's the right-
there was another roadster, and then they had enough time to.
Plot hole.
No, it's not a plot hole. This is perfectly
It
explained.
makes sense.
There's a second roadster.
Not the invisible car. Though.
Yeah, and that's another thing. Why do they need an invisible car and a roadster?
Well, because only one could be in the invisible car
I guess. But what's the point of the invisible car?
to knock you off the road.
Yeah, that's just its sole purpose, just to ram people off the road. Again, why do you need an invisible car if you got a roadster?
I think we cleared that they somehow make it out alive. And then this was the part I never thought of until now. They finished the entire thing with showing Mike and Deb like looking up at the sky, and then all of a sudden they get smacked in the face with pies, and that's the end of the movie. And I never until now thought
They're
wait,
acidic
they're
pies.
Yeah, so do
they all
die?
die.
They die?
Like,
Yeah.
Also, when like Dave lands and gets out of the car, he like gets behind Homegirl and like hits
Yeah.
her on the head. Or
Oh
something.
yeah. I was like, that's a weird embrace for just friends, but okay.
And then I didn't think, I was kind of mad the movie ended like that with them getting hit in the face.
Like, who threw them?
But now, came with the roadster. But now I guess the
Roadster.
fact that it's acidic is like, but that was on the ground too. Like security guard. I don't know.
There were some pies that survived the explosion, and they went flying because of the explosion, projectile directly at them.
But even though the circus was behind them in the explosion, they looped around and came out.
Yeah, the roadster has a faster trajectory than the pies, so it landed first. They had enough time to do everything, and then the pies landed and hit them.
Them being acidic makes me feel a little better about the end.
You wanted them to die? You wanted
It's just like at least something's tied. It was so like, okay, we did like this stupid comedic thing at the end, but like the town's gone. Like,
So
what
it's
about everything else?
just wipe out rest of the town. Just
Well, the
watch-
same as Cuckoo. They just left the parents like, all right, yeah, and the parents are there, but they got
Like,
left
what
there.
is the movie? Is the movie? I guess like the focus is saving her. Like that.
Yeah,
the
they don't
focus-
care about the town. The town's not important.
Town got destroyed. man.
The town got destroyed. As
And
long
are all the clowns on there? Are we sure there's not like clowns still in the city?
are they? Did you
At
say
the
they're making a
drugstore?
sequel?
It was said that they have been trying to make sequels for years, but they never pan out. Like I'm sure, and probably for the best. Like I mean, there's
It's been
I don't
40
think
years.
Yeah,
I don't
it's 40
think
years.
any movie that has come out of that's been a cult classic that has come out with the sequel has ever been good. That again, like I would hate for them to bring this one back and then ruin it because like you don't need to mess with greatness. Like it did its thing. And it's still holding up today. What 40 years later? Like are going to be close to 40 years
Did
later?
its thing.
It
Actually, no, it's gonna be
did say
50 years later, right? Am I doing? No, I'm not mathing
88,
right.
almost 40.
Almost
40. So almost 40. Yeah, dang. Almost 40 years later, we're talking about it. It still holds up to this day.
Still, I don't know if it holds
No,
up.
it still
but-
holds up. It still holds up. That soundtrack still holds up.
The soundtrack does hold up.
And then they end with the ding 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 ding, and they end with that good song. That's really
The
good.
intro song, Killer Klowns.
But yeah, that's Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Closing thoughts, Justin?
It's pretty bad. Like, yeah, I mean, again, I still like the movie, but it's objectively really bad. Like, I enjoyed it though. Yeah. I don't know. I'll probably watch it again sometime.
In 40
In
years.
40 years, yeah.
Adam, closing thoughts?
It's still a really good cult classic. It's a classic for a reason. They have really good moments. It is a comedic horror movie, so yes, there's going to be things that are awful about it. And like we said, I think we all agreed that like the protagonists were pretty bad. It seemed like the antagonists, the clowns, and some of the off characters were really good. Like I said, I thought Mooney did really good, man. Mooney killed every scene that he was in.
That's where all their budget went.
Just to Mooney.
And the farmer.
But yeah, no, I thought it was well done. Like I like being able to like go back to movies like that and know that like they can still like be really well received and they still hold like a place in like the horror genre, right?
Yeah.
Like you can still go to Spirit Halloween and like find stuff from Attack of the Killer Klowns from Outer Space. Like you have like the different outfits for the clowns, the masks. You have like the ray guns, like they're selling that with the Mars Attacks ones, which is another fun classic, right?
I've never seen that.
Mars Attacks is
I've never seen
it's
it.
good.
It's similar.
Is it good like this good,
Yeah,
or is it
it's
good
like
like
it's
yeah?
Yeah,
I've never
it's
seen
not
Mars
good.
Attacks.
You're like it's not amazing or anything like that, but it's the same. It's the same kind
Realm.
of feel.
Yeah.
It's the same kind of feel. But like again, it's a classic for a reason, and I really enjoyed it.
Jordan, closing thoughts?
You boost your thing.
You
He said I actually lowered it.
We're staying at a 4 out of 10. I enjoyed it for what it is. I agree it's a cult classic for a reason. I think that, I don't know all the horror movies that came out in the 80s. I feel like if there's a Mount Rushmore of 80s horror movies, this probably has a spot somewhere on it. And
That's
I
fair.
feel like that's a rightful spot. I feel like most movies you'll watch from the 80s probably hit the same way this movie does.
I will say this: I think this was one of the transitional movies to get us into like the 90s horror movies, which for lack of depth, I would say the 90s was a pretty poor year for movies in general. Like I don't think there was very great outside of like the really big critically acclaimed ones, like horror movies, like the subgenre ones.
Hellraiser came out in '87.
Yeah, like again, but then
nice.
all the sequels that followed came out in the 90s, and we could tell like when the 90s got a thumb on something, the 90s just were not a good time for movies. But I do, like you're saying, like I think 80s, that 80s feel for those movies, it would hold a place there because I think the 80s just had a good formula. I mean, there were hit or misses, don't get me wrong, but I think this encapsulated like the fun of the 80s, but still had some cool horror movies. And then when you get to the 90s, things try to get a little bit more grittier, but like the acting and the effects weren't there, and it was kind of meh.
Yeah. It has a lot of flat moments. I
does.
feel like there's certain spots like the puppet spot or the balloon dog spot. I feel like there's certain funny spots or like things that make it worth watching. I think I would call it a must watch just for the experience.
Like a one time at least, right?
I think
Just to experience it once.
The soundtrack, certain things it does. But again, I feel like it's just an 80s movie.
Are you looking up 90s movies now to see?
To see what came out. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. There was some. I'm not saying they were all rough, but man, there was such a.
I love that movie. Jacob's Ladder's so good.
There was a lot of lulls in the 90s. But I'm not saying again. There's good movies in the 90s. I'm not saying there's not, but if you compare them to like the 80s and even like late to mid like 2000s, there's some better ones. Like the 90s, definitely there was some lull in the media at that point.
Yeah.
I also don't know. Like, I don't know where visual effects were at before this movie or how many different movies do it, but I do think, like, you look at something like Late Night with the Devil, and I feel like a lot of those effects they're executing there is something that, like,
yeah, I see what you mean. Yes,
like the
that.
cheesy, like 80s lasers and stuff.
That makes sense.
I feel like it still has a spot in horror now.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I agree.
So you can cut this out, you can leave it in, but just some notable things from the 80s to help.
80s or 90s?
80s.
80s. Okay.
We have Hellraiser.
Yes.
Beetlejuice.
Yes.
Evil Dead 2.
Oh, and Evil Dead 1, technically.
I think so, yeah.
Well, it had to be. I don't think it was in the 70s.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Friday the 13th.
That's what I was thinking of. See, I was thinking of those two. The Thing's good. The Thing's really good.
Child's Play.
Yep.
So 80s was the 80s, decade of slashers, right? I guess
80s had a lot of good ones. Now the 90s had good ones too, but when comparatively speaking to the two, like what is that the 90s right there?
Yeah, I have the 90s.
Like
really
like Tremors. Like I know
Tremors.
people like that movie, but like
Faculty is kind of like
I know what
the
you
craft.
did
The craft
summer.
was good.
Army of Darkness.
It came out in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
TV series though. The Haunting was kind of
Scream's good.
You hate Scream.
I hate Scream. But outside of that,
Scream's
that
good.
Blair Witch was 90s?
Yeah,
Bro,
Blair Witch,
bad.
yeah.
The first.
Bad.
I mean, okay, look.
Event Horizon.
So there's good movies, but I wouldn't say they're as notable as like
Leprechaun?
movies in the 80s. No.
Leprechaun was like 90s. Like it was like or like early 90s. Like I think almost
was
93. Okay.
I think I would say, judging from just like kind of listing out movies, 80s was a little more
80s
iconic
had
for horror
more-
for just like things that stick around. 90s has good movies, obviously, but they're not as like, you know, if you ask a casual viewer, like
There's not as many.
they're not gonna say, "Oh, I've seen Event Horizon." They're gonna say, "Oh, I've seen Friday
The Crow.
Yeah,
The Crow.
Yeah,
in the 90s, yeah.
they're gonna say, "I've seen like," or I at least know who like Jason is. I know who Freddy.
Yeah, but that
Krueger
was like
is.
when
Yeah.
that already the sequels are all awful, right?
Yeah.
Jason takes on Manhattan, he boxes the guy, and he gets tired.
I feel like this movie lines up well with the other movies.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
think
feel like
so,
they would
too.
all hit in this same like
Yeah, dude, man.
same range.
Can you imagine going to the movie theaters in the 80s? That was like, whew. Those are hits.
Yeah,
Hits
that's
after
the thing,
hits
yeah.
after hits
That's
after
what they
hits.
did, right?
And they all kind of have like comedy fusion.
Yeah, they do have their moments.
And now
Yeah.
look at us now. Hits and misses.
Now we have Blumhouse releasing trash every.
Yeah, bro. Hey,
Hey, Speak No Evil was good. I'm gonna put that out there.
Haven't seen it yet.
speaking of which was that one?
That's
The
the
one
one
with
Oh, that dude.
Tom Hardy.
Yeah, the one where they go to that with the little kid with the
Yeah, it's a
tongues.
remake.
That
It's
was
a
good?
It's a
It's a
remake
remake?
of a movie that was made in like 2022. Or
Like a Danish movie or something.
Yeah.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it's an American port of
Yeah.
of a
Of a
foreign
Danish
film.
I liked it. I thought it was
Okay.
worth watching.
Yeah.
The only good Blumhouse movie.
I was gonna say it didn't look appealing to me. but
Blumhouse has
maybe I'll
done
have to give it a
a
shot.
little bit of a lull.
They started off real I want to say really strong. They started off strong in the very beginning of their career, and they quickly just turned
because
into like
James Wan like carried hard, and then they
Yeah.
used just his like catalog, right? Like, okay, you can make movies based on the stuff I did, but then they just like
it just went all downhill from there.
Yeah,
Now it's
that's
just
the
all
same.
trash. Yeah.
I mean, there's a few every now and again. But was it? I guess Neon is the leader right now.
Neon and A24, I guess.
Nah, don't throw them in the same sentence.
They're. I mean, it's both of them right now, technically.
I think it's bloody disgusting. The Terrifier. Okay, so closing thoughts for myself. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, I feel like this is a movie that you kind of just have to watch once to just experience what's going on and all that good stuff. And it's not terribly long. I think it clocks in at like an hour and a half or something.
Yeah.
And that's with credits.
Yeah,
like,
it was
it's
like
not.
the credits at the very end, I think, are at least like 10 minutes themselves. So it
Yeah,
was like,
and this is also like a movie that you can like have it on and then do stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah,
like
it's
have
not
it on
like a
while you're
whole lot.
cleaning the house or doing homework or whatever the heck. But yeah, not too bad. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, do all the algorithm stuff. It'll really help us out. We appreciate it. For the next episode, we're going to go ahead and do a viewer request. So we had someone who requested Willy's Wonderland. So that's the one we're going to cover next.
I love that movie. Okay, look.
Justin typed it
Yeah,
in.
that was me. It was me. Okay, it was me. No, I'm just kidding. Who? I think it was you right earlier that said if this movie was made in modern times, right? This is like, well, I think Willy's Wonderland is what this movie would be. At least around that same like
Like an
aesthetic.
equivalent or
Yeah,
whatever.
the equivalent. I think if Killer Klowns from Outer Space was to be redone, it would be somewhere on the equivalent of like what Willy's Wonderland.
Not that old.
It's not that
old.
It came out a
It's
couple years
Nicolas
ago.
Cage.
He's the protagonist. He's the main character of the movie. He doesn't say a single word.
He doesn't.
Spoiler alert.
No!
Oh, you gotta cut that out. Start over. Start the whole film over.
We do the episode.
Yeah, we do.
This episode.
But yeah, so go ahead, join us next time if you want. When we cover Willy's Wonderland. Until then, y'all have a nice day.